Hey everybody, it's Christina of CraftyPaws. I'm here to share with you guys my Inlovearts design team package. These are the 4 die sets that I chose to work with. I'm so excited to share with you guys how versatile these dies are. I'm going to share with you guys how each die set works, and then I'm going to share a card that I made with one of them. So this is a die set that has 5 pieces, and you layer them, or you can use them singly, depending on how you want to layer up these floral medallions. They're very intricate, so I'm using a little poking tool there to make sure that I get all the little pieces cut out. It cut out beautifully. It's just you need to really take your time and get all of those little pieces poked out. I'm using my wet glue there, and I'm just going to layer on these medallions. So the base has the least amount cut, then the second to the least on top of that, and then the third on top of that. Now you have to be careful. You have to align them so that, you know, the petals and the little cutouts line up right. It's not symmetrical exactly all the way around, although it might look it. So you just need to turn it a little bit and make sure you find the way it aligns best. But isn't that stunning? This is called the multi-layered wavy cute flower dies. And look at how beautiful that came out. Now this die set has 10 pieces. I'm just counting them out here just to double check. And I'm just using like 3 or 4 of them, and I'm going to make a kind of larger card. I'm using them kind of as backgrounds to frame out images that I'm planning on coloring up. But you can see that some of them have like little pokey ends. Some of them have more squared off little ends, but they line up beautifully. And I'm just going to share with you guys using some simple wet glue how they can line up. You can actually use 2 of them to cut out frames if you like. You can also alternate dies using every other one to make larger frames or mats. And it's called the stackable spiral pattern decor dies. The next one I'm using is this background die. It's got a beautiful kind of quatrefoil and little arches all the way around. It's just smaller than an A2 size card, so you can use it to frame out a background onto a card base. And you see, I just cut that white cardstock out, and now I'm just sharing with you guys how I kind of put in pieces. And I realize the left and the right side aren't exactly the same. So you need to make sure if you're going to do what I'm doing, kind of insetting pieces, that you make sure you use the left side for the correct, the left side for the left pieces and the right side for the right pieces, because they're slightly different in size. You wouldn't know it just looking at the card overall, but this is what I came up with using 3 different colored cardstock. Now this last die, it looks really simple. It's large. It's just a rectangle that has some lines that are cutting lines and some that are embossing fold lines. And I have to actually run it through twice because I didn't want to bother to get up and get my big longer plate, cutting plate base. So I ran it through twice, but it worked so well. I'm using this pattern paper also to cover up each segment of the fold out pieces of the card. And there you see me running the pattern paper through twice just to get the bottom. Like I said, it could have run through just once if I had gotten up and gotten my die cutting base plate that's longer. Anyway, I'm using a bone folder to make sure that the creases are really nice and sharp. It doesn't really matter which way you fold, but I'm trying to fold so that the top and the bottom layers, or the top and the bottom horizontal sections, pop up separately from that middle section. So that's the base. Really fun. It's kind of like an accordion. And now for the pattern paper, I'm just going to cut off. So this I ran through the same die. And so if I had just laid these pieces exactly on top, it would be the same size as the blue card base. So instead, I'm just measuring it out, kind of eyeballing, but basically I'm cutting two sides of each of these pattern pieces so that I cut off about 1/4 of an inch, and that gives me a nice dark blue mat all the way around each of the pattern pieces of paper. Now, this pattern paper, by the way, if you're interested, is an old Graphic 45 12 by 12 from the Bohemian Bazaar collection. That's, probably like 7-8 years old at this point, maybe even older. But I love this, and I have been hoarding this paper. There you can see me cutting in detail the extra 1/4 inch off of two sides of each of these little pieces. And I'm using the back side and the front side of this pattern paper so that it makes a nice kind of visual energy kind of back and forth. Next to the vertical pieces, I'm using in the center more of that kind of floral, and then above and below I'm using the yellow polka dot, which is on the reverse side of this pattern paper. And then this is another piece of that same paper collection, and I'm going to fussy cut out this flower, and then I'm just inking the edges with a Memento Tuxedo Black marker, just so that it has really nice clean finish edges all the way around this flower. I fussy cut it obviously off camera, and then I decided I wanted it to really pop and stand out, so I'm using a pencil just to mark around the cutout onto the back side of that more busy floral paper, again, this yellow polka dot. And so I can fussy cut around with a margin all the way around. And then I'm going to erase those pencil marks. They're really faint. You could barely see them, but just to make sure that the card has a really nice finished look. And I put some foam dots on the backside, double-sided foam adhesive of the flower piece so that it would have a little added dimension. This is going to be the main focal image on the front of the card. And then I decided I was going to add a couple of the leaves. I did this off camera, but basically the same thing that I did for the main flower. I wanted it to be a little bit wider, just so that it would be a little more dominant. And I'm gluing those on either side of that main center tulip flower. And now I'm going to glue this onto that front vertical panel only. So I'm just gluing the back side of that and going to center that more or less on that front panel. And you see how this pop-up 3D card pops out? Now I'm going to show you really quick the stamps that I'm using from my stash for the various sentiments. I'm using the Big Day, Celebrate, that little Love with a Paw. And if you're interested in any of these products or the stamp sets that I used, please check out my blog post, which is linked below. But this is for my mother's 80th birthday, and I'm so happy with how this came out. I think she's gonna love it. This last die is called the Large Foldable Scrapbooking Album Dies. I'm not sure who names all of these, but I thought this was just an amazing die and at an incredible price. So if you are interested in creating 3D, really fun fold out cards, check out Inlovearts. I absolutely love this die, and I know my mom, when she gets this card, is going to love this card as well. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys are having a wonderful crafty day.